The divisional round wraps up with the LA Rams at the Chicago Bears, and this game is going to be cold. 8 o'clock Sunday night over on NBC and Peacock. Do the Rams keep moving forward, or do the Chicago Bears have a little bit more luck up their sleeve? And right now, even though they're on the road and going to a much colder condition, the Rams are 3.5-point favorites with the over-under set at 48.5 points. The weather could end up playing a major factor in this game. And again, this video is being recorded a couple of days before kickoff, so things could end up changing. But the weather is going to be freezing. With wind chills, we are looking at a single-digit game here. Now, as far as precipitation and wind go, there could end up being a few snow flurries, and the wind may not be a huge factor unless it kicks up before the game comes to an end. During the game, we're looking at some sustained wind. We're looking at anything between 15 to 20 miles per hour. However, there is a chance for some gusts to reach 30 or higher after the game. And if the weather were to change up at all and arrive a little bit earlier than expected, we could see a ton of wind at the end of the game, which means kicking field goals to win the game could end up being an issue. But just to clarify something, cold temperature games don't always necessarily correlate to low scoring games. Wind and precipitation always have a much higher factor on the score of a game than just the cold weather on its own. So if this game ends up being really cold, maybe we could see a little bit of a knockdown in terms of overall offense, but it would not be nearly as affected unless the wind and the snow were to pick up in the middle of the game. That is when we could see a big shift towards which defense could end up being the better one. The Rams is the 5 seed, a 12-5 record. They actually outperformed the 11-6 Bears, who finished as the 2 seed. The Rams with a point differential of plus 172, the Bears with a point differential of only plus 26. Some notable injuries on both sides of the ball. For the LA Rams, Matthew Stafford is the biggest one, but he's a full participant in practice and should be just fine after his finger got a little bit banged up last week. Puka Nacua, Kevin Dotson, both of them are limited in practice right now. For the Bears, it's at the wide receiver position. DJ Moore and Odunze have both been logging limited practices in hopes of being out on the field on Sunday. All right, let's jump into the matchup edge, and you probably already notice on screen who has the edge at this point, in my opinion. But let's go through each position first. Matthew Stafford is going to get the edge at the quarterback position. He's played in the playoffs before. He's won a Super Bowl. He's an MVP candidate that probably ends up winning it this year, depending on how voters decided to go between him and Drake May. I'm going to give him the edge. And a lot is being made about the Rams being from LA and needing to come play in the cold weather, but don't forget that Matthew Stafford played many seasons in Detroit, where at the end of the season, in the December timeframe, he was playing outside at Chicago, at Green Bay. Heck, back in 2014 and 15, Minnesota played outdoors. Now, I don't think that he ended up playing outdoors later in the season, so it may not have affected him at Minnesota, but he comes from the NFC North, and he's played these NFC North teams outdoors in cold weather before, so he's used to it. He knows how to do it. And maybe it's been a while since he's had to be out in it, but for Matthew Stafford, that's okay. I'm going to bank on him doing more than enough to help lead this LA Rams offense and be highly successful doing it. I'm going with him over Kyren Williams. On the running back side, it's Kyren Williams and Blake Corum for me. They've been a great 1-2 punch for a majority of the season. And for as good as DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai have been at times, and for as good as Ben Johnson is scheming up things in the run game, I'm going with the guys that are better talents at this point, Williams and Corum. Wide receiver, Davante Adams and Puka Nacua absolutely get the nod over DJ Moore and Odunze. There's not really a ton to argue there at that point. Both of those guys get the nod and the edge at that matchup. For the tight ends, we obviously go with the Chicago Bears here. The LA Rams utilize their tight ends basically 4 at a time, rotating every single one of them. But Colston Loveland has been an absolute beast over the last several weeks. And as a Michigan fan, I tried to tell y'all coming out that this dude was going to be a beast. Unfortunately, it took Ben Johnson a little too long this season to really utilize him, but once he started doing it appropriately, Colston Loveland has been one of the best weapons in all of football at the tight end position. We'll give him the edge here. For offensive line, they're both solid. Over on Pro Football Focus, they rank number 3 and 4 in terms of overall performance this season, with the Bears being at 3 and the Rams being at 4. This is a very even matchup. For the defenses, I have to give the nod to the LA Rams. They have been way better through a majority of the season than what the Chicago Bears have done. Yeah, the Rams are going to get burned in the secondary every once in a while, and you might see some big plays here, but the Bears do the same exact thing. They don't create nearly as much pressure as what the LA Rams do, and they're prone to giving up a lot of points, especially finding it hard to stop teams in the red zone. Davante Adams is one of the best red zone weapons in all of football right now. Special teams, I will give it to the Bears. In a situation like this where the weather could end up being a factor, special teams can come down to a couple of key moments in every game where it's make or break. And if we're looking to kick a field goal at the end of the half or looking to kick a field goal at the end of the game, I'm going to go with the special teams that have been out in the cold doing it for longer. But the overall edge here is going to go to the LA Rams. They are a better team on paper and talent-wise. The Bears are good. Do not get me wrong. All the props to what they did this season. And I'm not a Lions hater that is upset with Ben Johnson for leaving. I wish he would have went to a different team, but he took an opportunity exactly when he felt like it was right. And he came back and he gave Detroit another year when he had lots of opportunities prior to that. I'm nothing but thankful for the time that we had Ben Johnson, and I don't have anything negative to say about him. He has been terrific in Chicago, so this is not Bears hate in any way, shape, or form. But as I told Jesse, or J-Noise, who you all see in our live streams and all over the place here on YouTube, who is a big Bears fan, how much luck do you have? And at what point does it run out? Because unfortunately, for as good as Chicago has been this season, they've been running on luck for quite a while. Let's talk about some underdog plays before I jump into my predictions. And we're going to start off with the Rams and Kyren Williams going higher than 64.5 rushing plus receiving yards. And right now you can drop that down to 64.5 and still get a 0.75 multiplier. That number is looking really, really solid. In 2025, he hit that number 94% of the time. Head to head against the Chicago Bears, he's hit this number 100% of the time. He's at 100% over the last 5 games, 90 over the last 10, and 95 over the last 20. This is a really solid number. And in a game where we might have to utilize the short passing game, plus being able to run the ball effectively, Kyren Williams could end up having a very solid day. And then for the Chicago Bears, Luther Burden has been getting looks for a majority of the second half of the season. He's putting together some big games here or there, but we know that he has big play potential every time he gets the ball into his hands. And over on Underdog right now, you can slide his receiving yards down to 24.5 and still get a 0.71 multiplier. In his last 10 games, he's only failed to reach that number one time, and that was against Baltimore back at the end of October. Over his last 9 games, he's been over 24.5 every single game. I like this one. You probably already have a feeling of what my prediction is going to end up being, but if you haven't gotten it as of yet, I'm going with the LA Rams in this game, and I'm going to go over, as of now, 48.5 points. If for some reason the weather changes and we expect some bad weather to get to that game a little bit earlier than what we think right now, then we may go under 48.5 points. But even with the cold, I think we're going to see some good offense in this game. There's a few key areas where I just feel like the LA Rams are better than the Chicago Bears right now. And you talk about it at the quarterback position. Matthew Stafford and his experience over Caleb Williams and his experience. The ability for Matthew Stafford to take care of the football a little bit better than what Caleb Williams might take care of the football. You take a look at the defensive side of the ball. I think the LA Rams have a leg up there on the defensive side of the ball. I think they have an opportunity to be more consistent and to create more negative plays from Caleb Williams. But it's all about the experience. On one sideline, you got Sean McVay, who has a ton of experience, been to the playoffs, won a Super Bowl, and he's got some young up-and-coming offensive and defensive coordinators that are very, very good at what they do. On the other sideline, you got Ben Johnson, whose experience, he's still on the younger side. For a coach, for a coordinator, he's still a guy who's really only in his 4th season as being a leader at this point, and his first as a head coach. Now, he's got some really good experience on the sideline with him, but I'm going to take the experience and the youthful experience that the LA Rams have over the Chicago Bears. Sean McVay has been there and done that, and he knows how to lead his youthful staff. And his youthful staff is good enough that they're going to come up with a game plan that is really solid to beat the Chicago Bears. This is going to be a good game, though, I believe. I don't think the Rams are going to run away with it. I think it's going to be close in the first half. I think it's going to be close in the third quarter. But I think in the fourth quarter, if we have a close game, that's where the Rams defense makes a difference. They get a turnover. They do something to throw Caleb Williams off his game. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, the luck will just end up running out. Headliner Nation, hopefully you appreciate all of the playoff breakdown videos. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for me, though, and stick around for all of the offseason content, because I've got some great ideas that we're going to be doing all offseason long. And I would love for every single one of you to be here and be a part of it throughout the entire offseason. Stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy football this weekend, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.
Analytics off the chain, all the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game.